once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was a Billy of Tea. The winds blew up her bow, up down, oh below my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's sail came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harping and fought her when she dived down low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not of greed, and he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack, then tight once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on. The line's not cut and the whale's not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew and all. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Little GTO, you really looking fine. 3 deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Listen to her tacking up now. Listen to her whine. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. Little GTO. You ought to see her on a road course or a quarter mile. This little modified ponton has got plenty of style. She beats the gassers and the rail jobs, really drives them wild. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. Gonna save all my money and buy a GTO. Get a helmet and a roll bar, and I'll be ready to go. Take it out to Pomona and let 'em know, that I'm the coolest thing around. Little buddy gonna shut you down when I turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO.
see you smile. Try, try, try to let it ride. Baby, you want the forgiving kind, and that's just not my style. Try, try, try to let it ride. And would you cry if I told you that a lie? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? And would you cry if I told you that a lie? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? I've been doing things worthwhile, you've been booking time. Try, try, try to let it ride. And would you cry if I told you that a lie? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? And would you cry if I told you that a lie? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? Or would you let it ride? Would you let it ride? Would you let it ride? Yeah! Would you let it ride?
I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was a Billy of Tea. The winds blew up her bow, up down, oh below my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's sail came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harping and fought her when she dived down low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not of greed, and he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack, then tight once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on. The line's not cut and the whale's not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew and all. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Little GTO, you really looking fine. 3 deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Listen to her tacking up now. Listen to her whine. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. You ought to see her on a road course or a quarter mile. This little modified ponton has got plenty of style. She beats the gassers and the rail jobs, really drives them wild. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. Gonna save all my money and buy a GTO. Get a helmet and a roll bar, and I'll be ready to go. Take it out to Pomona and let 'em know, that I'm the coolest thing around. Little buddy gonna shut you down. When I turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO.
Okay, make sure to turn the volume
Your
down.
beautiful face.
Okay, well, make sure you turn the volume down because, or else it'll feedback.
I'll turn it off.
Oh, well, you can leave it on so you can see the pictures. Just turn the volume down. That's all. That way it won't
I
feedback.
just turned the volume off. I just muted it. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's perfect. That's all you got to do. Well, hello everybody. Max and Max's Models here, and welcome to another Cinelani live stream. So we have with us Bruce, the Mystic Modeler Ships. Bruce, say hi.
How you doing, guys?
And if you guys can hear us okay, give me a 5x5 or 4x4. And of course, we have Steve, Steve's Model Mania. Steve.
Hi, guys. Good evening. Welcome aboard.
Ken will probably be joining us later. I just spoke to him. He's driving right now, so as soon as he gets home, he'll join the fun and the festivities. So, with Bruce with us today, for those who have not seen his channel, which is Mystic Modeler Ships, he primarily, by no means exclusively, does ships, a lot of sailing vessels, which is one reason I put my frigate here over my shoulder as a little set dressing. But I'm too afraid to turn the motor on and have it go in circles for fear of it falling off the the desk. But anyway, oh, by the way, guys, just a quick reminder, I did a countdown. We're running about a 15-second delay. So what you hear me say something, put a picture up, you won't see it for about 15 to 20 seconds. Just the internet and the satellites are slow tonight. Bruce brought up an interesting query earlier that we're going to talk about, and that was why so many people seem to be intimidated by rigging model ships. So, because they are beautiful. So I'm going to put this roll these images of Bruce's recent build and turn my camera off. You guys will see it in about 15 seconds. This is the USS Constitution that he just did, and we'll talk about it while these pictures roll. So, Bruce, I know you did on your channel, you did a lot of videos on the 4-month-long build showing every stage along the way, but why don't you tell us about it, and then we can talk about why people are so understandably intimidated by these models.
Well, one of the things that happens with building, and it's exclusive the Revell 196 scale kits. You've got to paint everything. Now, this particular build is a contract build. I'm getting paid to do it for someone who lives in the neighborhood. So I got a wooden deck for it. I got a what do they call it? The laminate wooden deck where I use Gorilla wood glue to keep it down, and I use brass cannons. But there's so much detail you got to paint and you got to go through before you get into the rigging.
Somebody's got to turn their volume down. We're getting feedback. So, did you have any trouble getting because I use laminate on the Arizona. I mean, the pre-made wooden stuff that had the sticky on the back on the Arizona.
Yeah.
And I found that even though it went on beautifully, it tended to pop up in places. Did this laminate have an adhesive back, or did you have to use your own the Gorilla Glue?
Well, I built a 1918 Dreadnought that had a laminate on the back of it already, and I never had a problem with it.
Okay.
This one, I had only 2 spots where I had to burnish it down after I laid it down. Otherwise, I had no problems.
Well, what about
you
these?
You got to put enough glue. You got to make sure you get it in right because you really only got one shot at it.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So, and the pictures you're showing is the sails that I put on it. To me, now, this is just my preference. I have 2 other kits like this, the USS Constitution in my stash. Yes, I will build one for myself, but my customer bought this one, and I told him I would build it for him, and it's been 4 months, and he just loves it. But I want to tell you about the rigging.
Okay.
You have to start from the stern and go to the bow.
Okay.
Back to the front with the black thread first to tie everything in. And they ask you in the instruction, Now, there's 3 sheets of instructions for this thing. It's amazing. The rat lines where the guys climb up and down on it, for those of you guys that are not familiar with sailing ships, they ask you to put them on real early. There's no way in God's green earth you could put those on and get in there and tie things down.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do it later. And that's just from my experience. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I always do that later. And I always start from the back and rig up the back and then go to the front. Now, I've got the stud sails. This thing's full blown. I've got 18 more sails to put on this.
Jeez.
Yes. Yeah. I put, right now it has a total of 35 sails on it. And for me, personally, I think you need to put the sails on to get the full majestic look of the ship. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a USS Kearsarge, which is the 196 scale from Revell, which doesn't come with sails, so I'll just rig it the way it is. But all my models have sails.
Well, they
Now,
do
I was
look far
looking
more
up,
impressive.
I'm sorry, what?
They do look far more impressive with the sails up.
Oh,
The
yes.
sails and the yards and the. You want to real quick for those who are of us are landlubbers. You want to explain the difference in a sail and a yard?
Well, the yard arms. The arms are what the sails connect to.
Yeah, but the yards themselves, are they not the big square sail? What a landlubber would call a sail, the big square thing hanging off the yard arm, is actually a yard, and the triangular ones are sails.
Right. And what you see sticking out from the side is the stud sail. The stud sail yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're going full blast to get somewhere, they're going to be fully rigged, fully sailed, and they're flying. They want to catch every bit of wind and go.
They might conceivably get as fast as 10 knots.
They can get there. In this ship, and there's something that I've also added here. The railing that goes all the way around, where they stored their goods. One of the pictures here, if you can, I mean by the railing, in the kit they tell you to use string. I went to True Value, and I got this real flexible kind of like concrete, I don't know what you call it, sanding material.
Uh-huh.
And I cut it, and it fit in there just perfect.
Kind of like a chicken wire?
It's like a chicken wire, but it's better.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a good close picture of it. You got one up right now. It's right above the cannons.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little more.
And it's real flexible. And the parts of this kit, some of them are just. There's over 1,000 some parts to this kit, and
which would probably scare away a lot of model builders right there.
Absolutely. I mean, I went out and I just bought myself from Atlantis the Peacemaker B-36.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I got the picture you sent, man. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Well, the reason why I bought it is because I need something to do that's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, guys. I love airplanes. I grew up on airplanes. Don't get me wrong. I love airplanes. But why am I into these ships? Because I love doing the rigging. I don't know why. It just comes easy to me. I understand it. I study it. And I do things. I look at the instruction and I go, that's not right. You got to do this first, then that. Otherwise, this isn't going to work.
Yes.
And that just comes from experience of doing it. And I really think a lot of people are scared away of building these kind of ships. There's the B-38 right there.
Yeah, B-36.
B-36. Because of the rigging. Because the rigging makes it. Let me tell you, once these things are rigged and sailed, they're beautiful.
They are works of art. Well, I wanted to ask you something while I've got this close. This is about as much as I can zoom in. You can see the railing a little better here.
Yeah.
The brass cannons really look good. And I really have got to admit, I am not a fan of the plastic cannons. They have seams on them. You got to clean up every one of them. You got to bore out the barrels to make them look decent. Then when you paint them, they still really don't look that great. That brass really pops. And I don't know if they actually were brass. Were those cannons on the ships, were they actually naked brass or were they painted black? Because I've seen both, and I don't...
Well, they're brass. And I got these from hymns out of Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, that's where we got them out of.
They look great.
And they look great, you know. It's the inside and the cannons are painted in like the 1812 version of the USS Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I went for. And I put 2 more sails on today. I wish I had an update. I think you got an updated picture there somewhere. But the worst thing, the hardest thing for me to do are the rat lines.
Yeah, I can see
make
that.
my own rat lines. But these are the original rat lines that came with the kit. And you got to cut them. You got to fit them in. You got to glue them in. You know, there you go. There's a picture of it right there. Now, I'm not done putting all believe it or not, there's 12 more sails to go on this thing.
Jesus.
Yeah. And my customer just loves it. You know. What's not to love?
It is a beautiful build. And it's a beautiful... I've been on the actual one. It's a beautiful ship. And I learned a lot from the tour. People forget it's still a commissioned naval vessel.
Yes, it is. It's the oldest commissioned ship in the United States Navy.
And it has a very colorful history, but there's a little misunderstanding about it. They call her Old Ironsides, but she does not have iron sides. She is not an ironclad.
They call her that because of the lumber that was built. They used to build her. The cannonballs would bounce off the sides.
Not only would they bounce off, but they would not. What's the word I'm looking for when the inside shatters, but it doesn't penetrate? Spalling. It wouldn't spall on the inside. If you were inside, sometimes even on early ironclads and early tanks, if you took a hit from the outside, it may not penetrate, but it may cause metal or wood on the inside to splinter and come through with the speed of a bullet. I think that was called spalling. But with old Ironsides, they just bounced off, and if you were inside, you were pretty well protected. And apparently, when I took the tour, when she got hit for the first time by a British cannon, it bounced off. Some sailor shouted something like, "Huzzah!" It's as if her sides were made of iron, and
right.
You know.
Right, you're absolutely right.
And
now, one of the things I want to bring up is, you see the tan and the black thread that I've used.
I
don't use the stuff they give me with the kit.
Mm-hmm.
I use pre-waxed thread.
Okay.
And it comes 25 yards wrapped. So I cut what I need, the length, but I can take that and peel it apart, and I get 4 strands out of that.
Okay.
So instead of getting 25 yards, I get 100 yards.
All right. I have to be honest, though, Bruce, I built the Arizona recently, and even relatively modern ships can have people forget, although it's not mast rigging for sails, it's for antennas, but even relatively modern ships, World War II and the like, can have a substantial amount of rigging on them because of the old school radio antennas.
Right.
And one other thing that, and you can elaborate on this, is that the rigging changes with every configuration of the ship.
Yes. Because the tan rigging is the running rigging. That's the stuff that pulls things to move the yard arms or the sails to catch the most wind.
Mm-hmm.
black thread is a standing rigging that ties the mast down to the ship.
So those are stays.
Yes.
And one thing I have learned when Pirates of the Caribbean came out, I got an interest in fencing and sword fighting and in ships of the air, so I started reading up on it. I took fencing 1, 2, and 3, which, by the way, is a heck of a lot harder than it looks. My favorite line in the original Pirates of the Caribbean is he says, you know your stuff, but how's your footwork? Because footwork is about 60% of fencing. But everything had to have, as Ken points out, in the Age of Sail, everything had to have a name, so you knew what things were. The futtocks, the futtock shrouds, the belaying pins, and all this other stuff, And so I don't know where these names came from. I don't think most people do, but a lot of our lingo today harkens back to the Age of Sail. The joke about or the comment is when someone's drunk that they're 3 sheets to the wind.
Right.
And this is what confuses landlubbers. To a sailor, a sheet is not the sail. It's the line. Which just seems so counterintuitive to us. But the sheets are what are used to, like you say, it's part of the running rigging. I believe it's the running rigging. And apparently they can tighten and loosen opposite sides, of course, to make the one side grab more air and one side stiffer. Well, if you get all 3 sheets pulled too tight to the wind, the ship starts to teeter because it's trying to go too fast. So it teeters back and forth. So when a drunk guy staggers back and forth down the street, he's 3 sheets to the wind. Or that's the way I was told.
Or teetering. Yeah, that's where they got it from.
I heard that the clipper ships like the Cutty Sark were so fast because of the clean hull design and all the canvas they could hang, that sailors would get scared and would actually cut the sheets and let the sails and the yards spill air because they'd never gone 16 or 18 knots before, and to them it was just...
I've got the, I built a Thermopylae, which is in my website.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Cutty. I have a Cutty model I'm going to build. They are just beautiful ships.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Hands of the sea.
Yes.
That's all I can tell them. And I got that from Tom up in Wisconsin, up in Oshkosh, a good friend of mine who's on my web. Oh, but, by the way, at this time, I just want to thank, while I've got you here, all the subscribers to my channel. Because I first started off back in Illinois, and I'm going, it is what it is. I don't know. But I'm almost at 1,400 subscribers. And I got to say, the comments I get, and I ask for these, are nothing but just great comments on the builds that I do.
Well, the people who watch are, and I'm not, the people who watch these kinds of channels are, they're good-hearted people who are sharing something they love, and it's hard to go wrong with that. And they're very generous folk, and I think they're happy just to have the ability to to see people who share an interest and be part of that atmosphere. But
it's a great hobby. I mean, it's kept my mind really sharp after 30 years of teaching middle school, language arts and lit. It's kept me really sharp. I read up on everything. But when I first started building sailing ships, I didn't know anything. And I got to give a shout out here to a good friend of mine in Ohio, Frankie Day.
Oh yeah, Frankie. Yeah. I like Frankie's channel.
I got to tell you, because I used to email him and he would say, do this, Bruce, do that, Bruce. And I took it from there, and he's a master builder. He's a master builder.
If he ever shaves off that mutton chop he's got, we won't be able to recognize him.
Well, that's, my wife says he looks scary. But
he looks like, yeah, he looks like he ought to be driving a stagecoach with a shotgun.
Yes. He belongs back in the 1860s, 50s.
I could also see him on the deck of one of these sailing ships with a captain sat in a long coat.
Yep.
But Frankie, I had to go watch his channel on building that Revell 140 scale Corsair with all the moving gadgets. I had to go watch his channel on that because the instructions were leaving a little bit to be desired, and that helped me get that thing done. I figured, well, Frankie did it. I know it can be done, you know. So and that helped motivate me to finish it.
I'm sorry, I just walked across the room. The way I look at it is, before you build anything, if you're not looking at the instructions and the parts and saying, wait a minute, okay, well, I can't, my hands are huge. I'm a big guy.
Well, yeah, guys, if you don't know, Bruce is what, 6'9"?
He's 6'10", 6'9". I played college basketball.
And he's a very tall drink of water, and he has a massive everything, hands, you know, well, you know what I mean, yes. So all I'm saying is I'm backing up what you're saying.
That's like Lurch big.
Oh, yeah, I think Lurch would be looking up at him.
Lurch and I are buddies, you know? What can I say?
Hey, Lurch was the coolest one on the Addams Family.
Yeah,
oh, my God. Okay.
I wish I had their line of layout.
Bruce.
I've always wanted to build a HO layout, though, you know, because I would do all the plaster of Paris mountains and the scenery. The track is easy. That's the easiest part. It's the rest of it.
You know, Bruce, that means next Christmas you have to dress as, or next Halloween you have to dress as Lurch.
No, I did it as Frankenstein one year. Scared the shit out of the kid.
I'll bet it did. It would have scared me.
Yeah, I dressed up as Frankenstein and they all ran away. I go, I can't do that anymore. You know?
Well, so anyway, back to the model ships. What would you say? I know you enjoy rigging, and I think if someone's going to build a model of one of these sailing vessels, they need to approach it not with an attitude of trying to get it done, but try to enjoy the process, because you know you only work about 2 hours a day, right? Because so you don't get like burned out or anything.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about that, because I do get burned out on rigging. And I would turn to my wife in the morning and I go, I did not sleep well, because I was thinking about what I was going to do with rigging.
You know you're a real model builder when that's what you think of. That's what keeps you up at night.
Yep. So that's, I love building ships. I don't know why. I love airplanes. I do great jobs on cars. Formula One, I do funny cars. I mean, they look great. But it's not a challenge as much as the ships for me. I haven't got into space stuff yet, though, but I got a feeling I'm going to get into it.
Well, I'll offer you some free advice about space stuff. Or not advice, but an observation. To make a real space vehicle that looks good on the shelf is usually not very hard. But if you go to a museum, and there's of course, we've got NASA right down there, just an hour, not even an hour south of you. But if you go down there and take a good look at the space shuttles they have on display and really start looking at the details, you will realize how unbelievably detailed they are. And you're going to realize, if I wanted to make a really detailed model, it would be an absolute nightmare. They look so simple from a distance because they have to be aerodynamic and everything. But when you get close to them, you start seeing all of the different decals and labels and placards and all the different tiles and the patterns and everything, and all the little thrusters and the little pieces of equipment that usually aren't even included in. And you realize, my God, if I wanted to make a real museum quality shuttle, there'd be 1,000 pieces to it. So
well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing what I do with ships. I try to do as much detail as possible.
Yes. The thing about a ship that's different is the details, because everything on a ship is kind of out where you can see it. The details are kind of obvious from a distance. Normally with spacecraft, you have to get in real close to see the details, but then there turn out to be a lot of them. And the of course, the larger the scale, the harder it is because the more detail you have to show. But real space, if you start building satellites and things, it starts to get pretty challenging to make it look good. And you really want to build something that'll really test your patience. Try building the shuttle launch tower with the big mechanism that swings around it. I think it was Revell made it. Those kits are very expensive. And you look at all of the trusses and everything, and just go out and look at a picture of it, and you realize, oh my God, the launch facility is more impressive than the shuttle itself. The launch umbilical.
I remember back in, I think it was '63. When I was a kid, I was cutting lawns in the neighborhood, and this lady gave me $5, which was like, oh my God, I got $5. And I went out and got the Mercury. Atlantis repopped it. Had the staging.
That was with the Mercury capsule.
That was the Everything Is Go, John Glenn, a Mercury Atlas. Yep.
Yeah, it had everything. It had the little.
Has the truck, has the transporter, has the launch pad.
Everything. And I bought that, and I attempted that thing, and I'm going, holy Christ,
Yeah, you go out and look at the real thing, and you realize just how complicated it is. What a lot of people don't stop to think about is that when you go into space, you have to take absolutely everything with you. There are no resources in space other than free electricity if you've got solar panels, okay? But you've got to bring your pressure, your liquids, your breathable material, your food. You have to do something with the waste. I mean, all these things. So you start looking, you realize that 90% of a spacecraft is life support. Only 10% is actually dedicated to the mission. And you see these trucks and these vehicles and all these different hoses and weird chemicals, everything has a specific function. And you realize that if 0.01% of the equipment malfunctions, that's like 1,200 items that can fail. You're basically flying a 300-foot tall Swiss watch. And you really start to appreciate why space travel is so difficult.
Yep. My grandson, my youngest grandson, just graduated from Purdue in aerospace engineering.
Which is where half the astronauts came from.
He's working in Tampa, and he's working for this company that he does. He helps the companies with their computer systems that are on board. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and now Elon is grabbing rockets with Mechagodzilla, so it's just, we live in the future. And
well, Godzilla's my hero.
Well, the Mechagodzilla that catches the rockets when it comes back. Personally, I wish Elon would just build a real Mechagodzilla just to see what he could do with it. But close enough.
But I used to have a poster in my room because we used to read the Ballard book on the Titanic, what really happened and when he went down. And I had the poster. We're going, the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. Godzilla got it.
I've seen that meme a bunch of times, yeah. And people have actually made dioramas of that. Trust me, if Godzilla had gotten the Titanic, she'd have gone down in 12 minutes.
Not even.
Which means he probably actually got to Lusitania. What I would just crack me up would be to see Elon's the one that landed in the water and see the crane come out of the water and grab it. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for Elon to spring something like that on us. I mean, we live in the future, but we were talking in the pre-show, and I think this is relevant. Between the dawn of humanity and let's say the 1700s, things changed at a very, very, very slow rate. And in the last 100 years, within the lifetime of most of the people on this live stream right now, think about the changes we've seen just in the 50, 60, 70, 80 years of our lives. You know, think about the world you grew up in as a kid. No, but what was different was the late 1800s, thanks to people like H.G. Wells, people already started thinking about things like life on other planets, going to the moon. You know, the idea was born. What we would call science fiction was conceived. And people were seeing a lot of miraculous things, telegraphs and penicillin. Look at this magic that happens when I chuck coal into a boiler, you know, and that hot water makes steam and makes the wheel of this train turn. Or I tap on this key and
or
this
paddle boats.
paddle, or an Archimedes screw on a ship. I don't even, a ship without sails, a horseless carriage. Oh my gosh, we live in the future. The ability to communicate across the ocean with the tap of a key. I mean,
well, you know what's really funny is I remember what we were reading this book when I was teaching in school, and they were talking about payphones. Bring up on the internet what a payphone looked like, what a rotary phone looked like. These kids didn't know what they were.
Well, it's like the joke in the Superman movie. Dan Monroe just did a thing on the 78 movie Superman, and I think that was the one where Clark runs up to the phone booth, but it's a little half phone booth, and that was kind of an homage to the original TV show, where he'd always change in a phone booth, and he gets up and was like, I can't do it here, and I was like, but that's true. I mean, even a rotary dial phone, the old joke, it shows a picture of a car with a stick shift, and it calls it a millennial anti-theft device. And but the technology changes. It's like I tell people, they say these kids today, they don't even want to learn to drive a car. None of them can drive a stick shift. I'm like, yeah. Can you drive a stagecoach team or a buckboard? Of course not. We didn't learn because our generation did, but our grandparents did. So that's just
no, I could not drive that. You're absolutely right.
And
but my grandfather could.
Yes, and between 1500 and 1700, how much actually changed? I mean, people rode horses,
Nothing.
And then around the 18.
The only things that got better were the weapons.
Well, and even they didn't get that much better until.
No, you had the Industrial Revolution hit.
That's what changed everything. I'll tell you one weapon that changed warfare forever, and they didn't even know it at the time. And depending on who you want to believe, it was because an English vicar wanted to be able to hunt ducks, right? The flintlocks, which the flint goes forward, hits the strike, the frizzen, boom. But when you fired those, there was a delay, and you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever, and the guys would always shut their eyes and turn their faces away and volley fire, but it was boom, okay? There was a half second or a 1 second delay between squeezing the trigger and the projectile leaving the barrel. And a lot of people had played with ways to make the gun shoot faster, and apparently it was an English vicar who perfected, using fulminated mercury, perfected the percussion cap. So you no longer had the frizzen and the pan and the flint. You just had this little percussion cap that went on a nib. When you dropped that hammer on it, it fired the powder immediately. Okay?
Well, Steve said something that I caught that was, weapons in the art of war, weapons were way ahead of the art of war.
Oh, absolutely. And the absolute worst example of that.
War in our country.
Yeah.
And you look at the Gatling gun, or you look at exploding shells.
Even worse than that. Bruce, the Gatling gun didn't see widespread use in the Civil War because it was too new. But there was one invention, one advancement in weapons technology that changed everything, and it's why you see so many dead in the Civil War pictures. And that was a rifled musket. Rifling the barrels Instead of something that lobbed around 40 or 60 yards very inaccurately, you can now get off a 300-400 yard accurate shot. So you have Napoleonic tactics of men marching elbow to elbow while guys are laying their muskets down 300 yards away and laying accurate fire instead of just lane volley fire. And you would see entire swaths of people cut down.
You look at the art of war, even during the Revolution, where the British were here.
Well, that's because we copied the Indians. We fought guerrilla warfare.
Right.
The British mopped the floor with us.
What happened in Vietnam? It was guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. The British mopped the floor with us every time we tried to take them on, conventional army to conventional army. The Brits had the best army in the world. So finally we realized, hey, we're just going to have to fight them from the woods. And,
Boy, does that sound familiar for Vietnam?
No, it was basically the same thing again. We learned to adopt the tactics, but then again, you can't really compare those two because one was political, it was just that's a whole thing you could get into. We won't get into here, but if they'd said, hey, look, we're taking the handcuffs off, do what you got to do, that would have ended like Nixon did in '72. It would have ended fairly quickly, but that we all know that story, and it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's all political. Yeah, I hear you.
No problem. But getting back to the changes in technology, there are two things that advance technology more than anything else. One is humanity's desire to entertain itself, thus the internet, and two, of course, is finding ways to fight war. Those two things both move at accelerated rates, and they have pushed technology.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
During the Civil War, we came out with steam and sail at the same time for our battleships.
Mm-hmm.
USS Kearsarge, the CSS Alabama, all of them.
Yeah, there's a third innovation you have to remember though. The Kearsarge not only had steam and sail at the same time, but the Kearsarge also had iron on the inside of the wood.
Yes.
So it was effectively an ironclad.
Question. When you're got those steam engines going and you got the sails up, how come they didn't catch fire?
Well, that's why you have a very tall stack. It dissipates the heat. That black smoke coming out of there. Yeah, well, no, that's why the stacks are so tall, so that hopefully they would all die on the way up, so that nothing but smoke would come out of the top. And I am sure, and by the way, if I'm not mistaken, they usually drop the aft sails, but I could be wrong about that. But you had to be careful about having your sail up when you had the steam engine going, because if you turned in the wind, the sail could become a brake. Reversing the sails to blow the black smoke out of the way after a volley fire, though, was... Ken's here. Hang on. I'm going to see if I can connect him in here. Merge active call. Okay, Ken?
Here I am.
All right. Well, you're just in time. We have a question for you.
Which one?
Ships like the Kearsarge that were sailing vessels that also had steam engines, how did they keep the stacks from getting the sails to catch fire?
Well, first off, those steamers had very little sail on them to begin with. I think they had one whip.
And they still had sail on them that was in the middle of the ship, midship, and they had sails over. Because I've asked this question to many people, and no one comes up with a decent answer.
Well, it's my understanding, if you notice how tall those stacks are, that was used to cool the exhaust to the point that by the time it got to the top, it was not hot enough to cause ignition.
So hot ambers are not coming out of there.
I won't say they couldn't, but under normal conditions, they didn't.
Okay.
Well, also, you got to consider that the point of sail at which these things operated at, that the wind quite often, more often than not anyway, was from the side, so it blew it totally away from the sails to begin with.
But
the reason why I asked this question, because my wife's looking at the box top of my 196 scale Kearsarge, USS Kearsarge from the Civil War. She goes, how come these sails, or the USS Western, and it's got the sails and it's got smoke coming out. She goes, how come the sails don't catch fire? I go, I don't know.
I'm looking at a picture of the Kearsarge, and let me see if I can copy this and put it up for the viewers to see. Copy image. But that is a very tall stack, and it is in front of the midship sail. Oh, come on. Didn't copy. Copy image. Edit. Paste. Increase the size here. What is wrong with this thing? Oh, for Christ's sake. Stop it!
What are you doing now?
What are you
Oh,
up to?
paint's
Matt?
gone. Don't say. I was trying to save the picture, but it started doing something goofy. Normally when I go edit, paste, increase this. There we go. 300. Making it bigger. Crop. File. Save as JPEG. L180. I'll just put K for Kearsarge. Okay. Save. Okay. Close that. Open. Close that. Sorry, guys. Takes a lot of button pushing. Plus
All right,
image.
while you're pushing buttons, I'm going to answer Nathan's question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It says, I'm going to read it literally and then I'll translate it. What is
Right.
tacky? How does that work? And how can you go forward against the wind that's in the opposite of your movement?
You do it at an angle.
Well, what he's really referring to is when you tack. That's when the wind goes across the front of the boat to the other side.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sails act like a wing, sticking up in the air.
Guys,
And
I'm
you
gonna be back in a second. I ran out of cough medicine. I gotta go refill.
But
Okay.
it seems to me that stack is not very tall.
And hurry up while he's gone. Answer the question.
Yeah, you got your chance now. Can't
Yeah.
have a token.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Okay, so the old square riggers, because of the sail design, they couldn't go upwind hardly all, just barely, which is why they went with the trade winds, because they could go downwind.
Right.
Modern sailboats, because of the way the sail is designed, you can actually get as close to about 30 degrees of the direction that the wind's blowing in, which allows you to go upwind. Not real fast, but you can do it. Okay.
So that's
Looking at this,
tacking. So you're going in a zigzag type situation.
exactly.
All right.
Yes. That way you can go in the direction you want. Okay. When you tack is when you turn through the wind over to the other side, and that's your zig to your zag. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, now looking at this picture of the ship that Max just put up there, it occurred to me that if you're under steam, you probably don't need the sails. So the sails would be furled, therefore they wouldn't be susceptible to embers from the smokestack.
Okay. That's what I thought. If you're going to go to steam, you're going to roll up the sails so they don't catch fire, just in
Yeah.
case.
Yeah,
All right?
and basically the sails are there for two reasons. One is a backup in case the steam engine broke, which back then they probably frequently did. And also, if there were times when you were running low on coal and the wind was blowing just right, you could just turn that off and go with the sails.
And what's amazing is the CSS Alabama used to have a device that would pull the propeller up out so it wouldn't create drag when they were under sail.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a cool
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, they would pull up the propeller in the stern of the ship, and when they're under sail, and then when they had to get out of there real quick, they dropped it down, pulled the sails up, and went to steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to make absolutely sure, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a special covering they would put over the sails while they were furled, just to make sure that they didn't catch fire.
Right. Because the last thing you want to do is get your masts on fire. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the yard arm.
Very, very bad things happen when your sails catch on fire.
Yes. Not good.
I've seen the results of that. One time.
But I'm looking
go
at
ahead.
this picture that Max put up, and I think that's a beautiful ship. You know, I just think those things back then were just majestic. Just beautiful.
Kind of like your modern day version of a hybrid.
Yeah, where you can go with gas or sail or gas or electric.
Or if the wind was blowing just right, you could put the sails up and help augment the steam engine so you could go even faster.
I never thought of that until you said that, and it makes total sense to me.
Okay, I hear you guys talking about gas and wind blowing. Are you talking about my dietary habits again?
No. I can't tell anything, so you're okay.
And one interesting thing you bring up about pulling the propeller out of the water, on modern day sailboats, we have furling propellers. I actually have one on my boat where the blades turn sideways to go with the flow of the water, so they create very little drag.
There you
Make
go.
Make a big difference too.
But can you imagine the technology on the back of that? And then both of these ships were made in the same boatyard in England or Ireland. Okay? The Kearsarge and the CSS Alabama came out of the same yard.
I have to bring up a point about those two that's very important. Everybody and don't get me wrong, the Kearsarge defeated the CSS Alabama in a legitimate straight up fight.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of things that are worthy of note. First off, as I said earlier, the Kearsarge had iron-backed wood, so it was effectively an ironclad. It had a steam engine, but also the CSS Alabama was in poor repair, had old gunpowder, and was in pretty sad shape. What are you giggling at?
It says Max is wearing his cape.
Yes, cape.
I'm looking at this guy. I'm going, I know it's cold down here in Florida, but I'm down in Edgewater, about 20 minutes south of Daytona, and it's in the 60s and 50s. But I'm not wearing a cape,
First off, it's a fleece. Okay, since you guys want to play that game, who knows the difference between a cape and a cloak?
I do.
A cloak. I'll take a guess.
The Klingons have.
What?
A cloak is what the Klingons have.
Well, since you know, I'll take a guess because I don't really know. I think the difference between a cape is a cloak has a hood.
Not necessarily, but it can. It's actually more than anything else, it's a matter of length. You have a cape, a capelet, and a cloak. And
it looks like just a big old blanket to me.
Yeah.
So.
But they are three distinct things. Okay, here's your bonus question. What?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Natasha says Max is Captain Tangent.
What branch of the United States military still issues a cape as part of its dress uniform?
I would say the United States Marines.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another designation. A cape is for heroes. A cloak is for villains.
There you go. We can go with that. But
okay, I've gotten a couple of requests for me to finish my story about the ship damage.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Ken, just proceed, Ken.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm glad I have your permission. Okay. All right. Okay. I went to this place called The Landing in Jacksonville. Max knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, very well.
And there's a dock right along the edge of the mall there where you can tie your sailboat up, which I've done many times. Not mine, somebody else's. And we pulled up there one time, and there was just this burnt hulk of a sailboat sitting there. Pretty good sized one, too. I mean, it was just the shell, and it was all black on the inside. There was nothing there. And
So harbinger of the future?
If you live in LA.
There was somebody
too
else.
soon?
Somebody else in the boat that knew what happened. They said they were grilling on the back, and an ember came off the grill and fell onto one of the sails and caught it on fire, and they didn't catch it quick enough, and it ended up destroying the entire boat.
Kind of like a house in Santa Monica.
Well,
Just too soon. Too soon.
Festivities in
Whoa, one at a time.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Ken, you're the one that has the boat,
Yeah,
right?
too
The
soon.
sailboat?
Yes.
Okay. I'm about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not even, from the Indian River here, and then the Atlantic Ocean. Okay?
How far are you from Vero Beach?
Well, I'm that's south of me. That's way south. Okay? I'm by New Sperma.
You guys aren't far
Okay.
apart.
No, we're not too far apart. Okay.
No. Anyway, I drive Riverside Drive, and I go up and I do the causeway, and I go over. It takes me about 10 minutes to get to the beach. I drive on the beach. But
Do you go across
what-
the Route 60 bridge?
No, I go the 442. No, not 442. It's the South Causeway and the North Causeway in New Sperma Beach.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
All right. But when I come up Riverside Drive, I see from the last hurricane these masts that are out of the
Garfield.
water
Mm-hmm.
from sailboats that sunk. And they're still sitting there. It's been over 6 months, 8 months.
Oh, some have been there longer than that.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, that's
What do
not
they do?
that's not
What do they
particular.
do with those people?
Yeah, you can't make them do anything. You have derelict boats all over Florida. Sometimes after a hurricane, they're even up in the trees.
Well, sometimes I've seen them on the beach. I've been over in New Sperma Beach, and they're beached on the Atlantic Ocean down
Hey,
the side.
a friend of mine, a fellow pilot, actually one of my former captains, after the hurricane that hit went through Florida and then went up to Pensacola. He lived in Pensacola. He goes into his garage. The window's knocked out. There's a kayak that came through the window into his garage in Pensacola. That was from Tampa.
Wow.
That kayak had a journey.
What, do they have license plates on them so you could identify them?
Yes.
So they got numbers
Yes.
on 'em.
No, they got numbers. No, they have registration. Florida requires boat registration
you
numbers.
gotta register your kayak down here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That way, when they find it upside down with a shark bite, they know who it belonged to.
I have to register. My dinghy has a registration number on it. It's only 11 feet long.
You know, that could be the beginning of a good sci-fi movie. You know, some kids in the future walk along a beach, they find a kayak that went missing in, 1969.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about your dinghy. I don't know what you're talking about. Sci-fi. That's a good dinghy.
Yeah, that actually happens here from time to time. Well, what was it? Ken, was it here? They just drained the retention pond and found the two people who went missing in '84.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't hear that.
They drained.
I gotta let you guys go, but I have a question for all of you.
Yes.
The three of you. I have been an avid person that always wanted to learn to fly RC.
Mm-hmm.
RC airplanes.
Yeah.
I would drive up to Jacksonville if you guys could teach me how to fly RC planes.
Ken, you're closer, and you got an RC field down there.
Mm-hmm. I got several airplanes too.
And
I just
get an apprentice.
I would
Get the S-15 apprentice, and have Ken show you how. Believe me, it is the perfect trainer. That's the one Ken had me get.
I just think, I remember building them when I was a kid at a Bolsa and trying to fly, and it crashed within 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
Trey saying, don't do it.
RC stuff was $1,000. Nowadays, you can get stuff for less than 300, 200, ready to fly.
Get
I
yourself.
don't know how good it is, but
Get
I
your.
would love for you guys to help me out with that.
We'd be happy to do it. The thing
Thanks,
is,
Lego.
it is get the apprentice S-15E. It's the big one with the 54-inch wings, easy to see. It's super easy. It's got all kind of safety features. Ken or anybody at the local flying field can help you out. The only one thing you're going to get that does not come with it, it comes with a crappy little battery charger. Buy a decent battery charger. You're going to find that these electrics, the easiest thing to do is fry a battery by accident. But that being said, the Apprentice is super easy to fly, and it's a good enough RC that even as you get better, it's still fun. You can turn all the safeties off and hot dog it and everything. It can do a lot. And it's inexpensive. They make all the parts, so if you crash it, you can buy all the replacement parts you need, and I did plenty of times. But I warn you, and Ken told me this from the get-go, be ready to crash. Never build something never fly something you're not willing to lose. You know, that's Trey,
yes,
Ken, everybody's flown RCs has returned plenty of them to kit form. And
yes.
And I did it with Ken's help. Thanks a lot, Ken. Like I'm ever going to be laying upside down.
Yeah. I can't help it. I can't take direction.
Anyway, so, but that being said, I truly believe the Apprentice S15E is just the perfect trainer. And the most important reason is if you plow it, you can just buy the replacement parts. I remember trying to land and hitting the nose gear and knocking the front end off. And it cost me like $17 in replacement parts to get a new front end on it. The engine was still fine. There is just, it is a fun hobby, but trust me, I destroyed more RCs by trying to fly them on days that I should not have been flying. It is a calm day sport.
Right. You know, they always show these backyard flyers and everything else, and I'm going, there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell.
Don't worry about that. Those guys in flying. Ken and I were out there at Fort Lauderdale, meet at what is it, Markham Park, which we used to go to all the time. That's where I splattered Miami 262 for the last time before I just gave Ken all the broken parts. Said, here, it's yours now.
And the B-29.
The B-25.
Oh, there's a lid?
That was the one where Ken was like, try to fly inverted, and I rolled on its back and lost situational awareness, pulled back on the stick. And I think that thing was doing an 85-degree nose down, full power splat when it hit the ground. I mean,
we got pictures.
You did not know. Yeah, we actually caught that on video. And I'll tell you right now, you did not. Well, no, we didn't catch it on video. We got pictures afterwards. And I'll bet you did not know that you can hit a model airplane hard enough that styrofoam shrapnel can sting. But
Bruce, just remember, if you decide to do this, get Ian on speed dial.
Come up to Hurricane Hobbies and we'll get you all equipped.
I sure will, bud.
But
yeah, I have a high wing. I think it's a tri-pacer. It has a wingspan of maybe 14 inches, something like that. But it's gyroscopically stabilized.
Oh no, that's a Piper Cub, Ken. That's a Cub Cruiser.
This is a Cub. Okay.
Yeah, tri-pacer has a tricycle gear. That's the name Tri.
It's really easy to fly. It's electric.
That actually might be that might make you know, one of those little things might make, and Ian's got those for days. That actually might make a better first airplane than the Apprentice, because it's so cheap to get into, and they're so, and you fly them in your backyard.
Well, the downside to that is the beginners, and I did this myself when I first started out, is that you let the plane get too far away from you, and then you can't tell which direction it's going.
Yes, that's what I always worry about.
And that's a big problem. Flying RCs is a constant state of turning. You know, you do your flyby and get comfortable and turn it around, bring it back, don't let it get far away. And you learn how to wiggle the wings to determine if it's heading towards you or away from you. But the
cool thing about this plane is it's so slow that it's easy to fly.
Yeah. And,
but it's got to be on the perfect day, like Max said.
No, that is a calm wind toy, absolutely. And,
yes, calm wind day is ideal. A little bit of breeze is a lot of fun because of the plane flies so slow. You can throttle it way back, and you can actually get it to kind of like hover.
Yeah, I've seen them come by so slow they were effectively hovering. But when you get serious about it,
I'll get a hold of Max and see if I can get a hold of you guys and let you know what we can do.
Okay, that'd be fine.
All right.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
No worries.
That's cool with me.
Yeah,
twist my arm to go out. Twist my
get small real quick. Yep.
Twist my arm to go out and fly an airplane that you paid for.
Well,
Now,
bye, Herman.
Okay, take care, Bruce.
All right, listen, I got to let you go. I'm going to go relax and have a nice evening. I hope more guys get into chips.
Okay. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Bruce.
I haven't told my wife
Bye,
yet I
Bruce.
want to get into RC, so she's going to love me.
I'm going to write that off as a Bruce problem.
Yeah, that's definitely a Bruce problem. Hey, Max, let's get together for lunch one day when you can.
Okay.
Give me a call. And Steve, Ken, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Same
Oh,
here,
thanks. We
Bruce.
enjoyed it.
And keep those great builds coming.
Absolutely,
I will.
Bruce.
I will.
All right. Ciao, buddy.
All righty, buddy.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, the next
Bill
thing...
just had a great idea.
What's that?
Brilliant idea. Have a live stream. Besides that, hey, there's a new idea for a live stream. Who crashes first?
Bruce does. Wait a minute. Bruce does. That's not even a no-brainer. Bruce crashes first.
I don't know. I haven't flown in a while. You just never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Our next subject for the evening, if I may steer us towards the phase 2, round 2 of the live stream, is for those that we're going to move over to kit model cars for a bit, and Steve is going to kind of be leading us through this one. But if you will notice these two cars that I put up, you guys will see them in a bit. This is the front end of a 1972 on the left and a 1970 on the right GTO. Okay. Now, I was watching one of the car videos on TV about Reggie's 1970 GTO from Slapshot. And I know we have a bunch of hockey fans and Slapshot fans in this channel. In fact, it's the Glue Troopers, guys like John Kitt and Steve and a few others, that got me to finally watch the movie Slapshot. I was like, I'm from Florida. What do I know about hockey? You don't have to know anything about hockey to love the movie Slapshot. It was hilarious. The Hanson brothers have become part of my psyche. So I thought somebody did this thing on Paul Newman's Reggie's 1970 GTO. And I thought, hey, you know what? That'd make an easy build, just a gold GTO, 70 GTO with a black top, no big deal. And then turns out that the only 1970 GTO models that are out there are the what do you call that thing? The Super Stroker. And there was an MPC 1970 GTO, and I thought I'll get one. I was absolutely freaking flabbergasted to find out that the 1970 GTO plastic model kit from MPC is getting stupid. The people are asking stupid sums of money for it on eBay. There were only a couple of them out there. This guy wanted $635. Now the Super... And I immediately sent an email to Steve, and I'm like, what the heck is up with this? And he goes, on top of that, it's a crappy kit. So Steve,
Yes, it is.
would you please elaborate on the MPC 1970 GTO?
Well, the first thing is that the proportions are a little bit off, and it has a huge seam that goes up from the quarter panel right up the side of the roof. So you got to do a lot of sanding to smooth out the body, and it's just a very marginal kit.
How in the heck did it get to be
Max
this
and I
expensive?
discussed this about what about getting like a 71 or 72. Now the difference between the 70 and the other two are the headlights.
And the
shape
scoots.
of the grill is
Yeah.
a little bit different. So we figured out that you could buy a promo of a 1970 GTO. Wouldn't have a motor because promos don't. Max found that you could buy the nose from 70p GTO in resin on eBay for $10.
$4.
Oh, it was $4.
$4.
Okay.
Well, before shipping.
And you can just change. So get the other kit that's out now, which is like
the Super
$29
Stroker.
kit, which is the Super Stalker.
Super Stalker.
Which is like a round track racer, because you need the hood from that. You cut the nose off. You put the $4 resin nose on there. Put the hood from the other car, and for $60, you got the kit as opposed to $635.
Which is, I mean, that borders on the criminal. But how on God's green earth did this thing wind up being this expensive?
Because it's supply and demand, and they didn't make that many of them, and it wasn't that popular a kit when it first came out.
Because it was a crappy
so if you have
kit.
Somebody who's a GTO fanatic, and he's got to have that, and he's really stupid, he won't pay. I don't think anybody's going to pay $635 for this thing.
I'd have sent this guy a
but-
make offer for $50.
Huh? Well, is there a make offer there? Or
Nah, but I get all these emails. And don't get me wrong. If there's somebody willing to pay that kind of money for it, then as far as I'm concerned, this guy deserves to get it. I mean, you know,
Look,
but
there are. Robert said the right thing. He said another $40,000, you can get the whole real car.
I actually, just out of curiosity, since you brought that up, I actually started peeking at that today, and he's not wrong. I found it for about fully restored for $49,000. I'm like, Christ, I'll buy the real one before I'll buy that. Ken was with me when we went to Trans Am's. Is Trans Am's of America or Florida Trans Am's, that place down in Lauderdale? It's run by a Venezuelan guy who just restores Trans Am's. He's got one of the original Bandit cars. I did a video on it, and he was Ken. You remember the Trans Am he was offering me for like $29,000? Ken.
No, Ken obviously has left the bill. Oh, Ken.
No, I'm here. I was talking to my grandson. Sorry.
Oh. Well, that had to be scintillating. He's 6.
Well, he wanted to talk to you guys, and I said no.
He can talk to us. Dean can say hi.
We talked to you. Never mind him.
Yeah, I know.
Ken, we let you talk. Why would we let a 6-year-old talk?
But okay, the real point of this whole discussion is the price of what some kids go for in the secondary market.
Well, you
Now,
just squashed that tangent, didn't you?
There's certain kids that are considered to be quote unquote holy grail kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a high price to them. And, you know, that's a collector's market. This kid was not a rare kid. It's not a holy grail kid. It's just some guy who says, well, you know, I'll throw this up here and see how much I could get for it.
Well, I only found a couple of them out there, and the cheapest one was like $375. So I don't know. I don't get it.
Are the molds still around?
I was just wondering why don't they just repop the damn thing?
Yeah.
I mean, here's a thought for Atlantis and Revell and all in round 2. When you see this kind of crap happening and you've got the molds, you might want to consider running a batch of them.
Wait, Cuda Killer brings up a good point. He goes, Johan kit prices are fairly ridiculous. Yeah, because there's no molds anymore. Because all the molds were destroyed.
Or stolen.
There's no molds. Then I could see that you have a kit that you really want, and that's why it's a lot of money, because they're not going to repop them again. But this isn't the case with this.
Huh. I bet that mold's sitting around collecting dust.
I mean, you know, there's probably, I don't know, 20 kits that are considered to be Holy Grail kits because there's no mold for them anymore.
Well, I'll guarantee I'll almost guarantee you that one of the Glue Troopers probably has one of these in their stash.
Don't know.
Might be. Any minute, we'll find out.
Okay. Well, here's another one.
Guys, go down in the basement and start searching now.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Everybody look. Time to go styrene mining.
Whoever comes up with the kit, Max will give you $40 for it.
I will. In fact, all they really have to have is the body and the grill work, you know? If one of you guys has that, I'll give you...
And celebrating vintage model kits comes up with another good point. A lot of the car molds were modified to make different kits, such as the Revell 57 Ranchero station wagon is a Holy Grail kit because they modified the mold to make the Ranchero pickup. So they're never going to make that kit again. And they only made it like 2 years.
Wait, which one did they modify?
The 57 Revell Country Squire station wagon.
Okay, it's funny you should mention that because you sent me the picture of that. I just popped it up. You're going to see it here in about 10 seconds. So you might as well go ahead. Now this one actually isn't that bad. $150 for this thing isn't really that bad of a deal.
And I got to tell you, I would pay $150 for that kit.
Well, that's one of them you sent me. That's a current eBay auction.
Yeah, I would pay that for that kit.
Well, go get it. I think it's still out there unless it's already been sold.
Yeah, you're never gonna. No, I'm bidding on something else right now that I want more. So.
But I remember you telling me about this one, and this one makes sense though because, like you say, they had to destroy the mold, so there won't be any more of them made.
No.
And my guess is it wasn't that great of a seller.
Okay, my turn.
Your turn.
Nathan brings up a good point. There's a way on eBay where you can go and see what things actually sold for, so you can get an idea of what somebody else actually paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, Lance, but the 69 and the 68 GTO are different than the 70 to 72 one.
Yes, very different.
And the rear of the car is different too.
Yeah, those wouldn't do. Well, speaking of ones that seem to be a little overpriced, and I'm working with what you sent me, the AMT Monza funny car Peanut 1, they want $200 for this thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't give you $2 for it.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, it's probably rare because nobody wanted it, and my guess is nobody still does.
Robert pops up, what about the Revell puppy? Which was the Beagle puppy kit that came with the flocking.
Uh-huh.
And what you did was you came with white glue, and you covered the body with glue, and you put the
flocking on it.
So it looked like it had fur.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Holy Grail kit. Because that mold is, nobody's ever seen that since they made the kit.
Yeah.
But it's, it's all in what's still available that can be, done.
I'm guessing.
Bought this and put this in Carter's basket at the.
That was just going to say that has to be a Jimmy Carter reference with the big smile on the Peanut
it
one.
Is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it came out, was when he was president.
Well.
That's why it's called Peanut 1. Well,
okay.
Nathan says sellers on eBay are counting on laziness or ignorance because oftentimes, if you're a collector, you know what the stuff costs because you've looked at them. And, you know what you want. And before you buy it, you're doing a lot of research.
Yeah.
So, it all comes down, just as JM says here, what are you willing to pay for that particular kit? Does it mean that much to you?
Yes.
I bought the MPC Indy Turbine car, which I've wanted for years, and I happened to see one on eBay, and I made a bid. They wanted, X amount. I made a counteroffer, and they took it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy to get the kit because it was sealed. But, it's not always that way. But I was willing to pay it because I wanted that kit. And it was a reasonable price.
Well, I was wondering why this tester's kit was so expensive, but then I realized it was actually a repop of a Johan mold. So maybe it's a decent kit. And I didn't realize that Tester's got any Johan kits.
They got a couple of the molds, but the molds, you know the old story about, what Hanley, didn't pay people.
Oh, yeah, they were stealing all the beryllium copper molds and selling them.
They were stealing the beryllium copper molds and selling them and getting them melted down. So, yeah, there were a couple of molds left, but nothing like the vast amount of molds that they had. You know, he
other
was
than the
friends with millers who owned Pesters, so they probably got whatever was left.
well, Seville bought all their stuff, but that turned into a mess. I have a question for you though. What besides the Chrysler Turbine car? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of in a world of its own because, you know, Chrysler paid for the mold. But
Right.
what would you say are the best of the Johan kits?
I would say the Pro Stock cars were pretty good.
Pro stock, okay.
They did the Cuda, they did the Superbird, they did a couple of the Comets and the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they made some pretty good kits. I would say those are the best. But you know, they were popular for the annual kits too.
Yeah.
You know, they made some really nice Chrysler kits, and they made a lot of nice Cadillac kits. You know, they had a really decent line because they made promos.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was, you know, they went from promos to full assembly kits.
Well, here's one that I don't understand why. The NPC made the Flying Dutchman funny car, which admittedly was a cool looking car, but people are asking $500 for a sealed one. I'm like, I don't think that car sold when it was new. Why would it sell now?
No.
Good point.
Do you know anything about the actual car?
Yeah, it was a funny car.
I mean, did it do particularly well, or was it just another one of the?
No, it was very unique looking. So it had a buzz around it because it was very different looking. You know, it was kind of based on the Dodge Charger 3 show car.
Okay.
You know, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't one of the front runners, but you know, it got a lot of time at the track. Everybody loved it.
So it was a fan favorite, but not necessarily a trophy winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ricky Wagner says, I still have a Johan Superbird kit. Are those
I
rare?
do. I do too.
What are those
Well,
things
there's
running?
different ones. There's the NASCAR Richard Petty one, and then there's the Sox and Martin drag one.
I remember them. I actually remember the Richard Petty one from when I was a kid. I remember seeing it on the shelf.
Well,
What are those things running these days? $90, $100?
what the
Richard Petty's.
They're more than that. They're more than that. If you get a sealed one, it's like $150.
Okay, well that's see, I don't have a problem with the $150. I mean, because you're buying the nostalgia and the rarity. My problem is Monica and I were just talking about this today. We were having lunch, and she asked me, "What are some of your Holy Grail kits?" And I showed her the picture. I showed her some eBay auctions for the nuclear power plant, the Revell Westinghouse nuclear power plant, the ITC Thor missile base,
the base,
and the ITC F-108 Rapier. And I said, now understand, and we found a couple on eBay, and I said, the problem is, she goes, you know, these things are only valuable if you don't build them. I said, exactly. And you know me, I like to build stuff, which would destroy at least half the value. So there's no point in me having them. I'm actually looking at them right now. I've got about 6 kits here that aren't really even that rare, but I won't build them because they're old, they're intact, they're in the box, because I have 350 other kits. And I just couldn't see paying $1,600 for the Thor missile base and not building it. But then if I build it, I might as well just burn at least half of what I paid. And then I have to have a place to display it. So they kind of become a little bit of a white elephant, unless you like to collect for the sake of collecting, which I understand. It's like people that buy fine wines and don't drink them. I get it, okay?
But the beauty of that is, A, number one, unlike wine, they don't turn sour after a while. And B,
the decals do.
With the missile base, it does something.
Yes.
So if you put it together, you have something that works, that does something. It doesn't just sit on the shelf.
Well, here's what you do, okay? You get the Revell nuclear power plant, atomic power plant.
I already did, remember?
Yeah, I know. No, hold on. You build it, you put it on one side of the room with your polar light.
Then you shoot the missile.
Hold on, let me finish. You have to build the same scale, 1 to 144 scale Polar Lights Godzilla, to put attacking it. Then across the room, you build the Thor missile base and have it shoot the missile over at Godzilla.
That's only like $5,000.
Because shooting an atomic missile at an atomic power plant that's being attacked by an atomic monster never had a negative outcome.
No.
I mean, that right there is a movie.
Yes.
Keenan asked a question. He says, "Hey Steve, why was there never a 1964 Comet Cyclone kit? Only the Calais version."
It was the Caliente, and what they did was they
Caliente.
had options that you could make it into. It came with extra parts. You could make it into the Cyclone, which was basically a difference in the motor and the wheels at that point.
Huh, okay.
Here, Robert says, build a representation of Chernobyl.
I just saw that.
Have it blow up.
Now, this was the first one you
Should-
sent me. It was the
Wait a minute.
NPC Autoscape.
Ricky's asking, should I build the Superbird kit or are other Daytona? Wait a minute, it just went off the screen. Oh.
Other Daytonas or Superbirds available for cheaper.
Build it.
Okay. Now this one,
Bran has a bunch of, he's got a bunch of those Johan 60s Dodge and Plymouth kits. And, they're worth some money. They go for like over $100 a piece.
you see, I don't have a problem with building a kit that costs up to about $150. After that, I start getting a little hinky about it. But that's just my personal line in the sand. Although as money devalues, I'm kind of losing. It's moving up closer to 200. But this Autoscape, this NPC kit, which I guess came with the cardboard display, Autoscape.
Yeah, many of my builds turn into Chernobyl. Now, I spoke to you about one of these a couple of months ago because I'd never seen one of these.
Is
And I
that an
went
International
into
Harvester?
This Autoscape kit.
Yeah, I
NPC.
seem to faintly recall them.
Yeah. Now, I went into for lack of a better word, a consignment collectibles antique store.
Mm-hmm.
And they had one. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Well, it was a kit, and it has a vac form 3D base that the kit goes on. And then it has a cardboard backdrop to it that clips into the base.
Okay, yeah.
So, and it was 45 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and I said, it's kind of like Oddball. It's different. The whole kit was there. But it just didn't do anything to me,
I got you.
It didn't have a pull.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought it over and said, well, it's different. I should go back and get it. Of course, it's gone.
Of course.
But, these kits were very rare.
The
Very rare.
this Commando, is that an International Harvester?
What, this thing? No, that's a...
It's not a Ford.
Saying it's a Jeep.
It's not really a Jeep, and it's not an International Harvester. It's probably a Jeep. Because if you look on the hood, in the chrome part on the edge of the hood,
Yeah.
it looks like it has 4 letters.
Okay.
So it's probably a Jeep.
Rob
Well-
Alta says Jeep Commando.
Jeep
Yeah,
Commando. Okay.
it's probably a Jeep.
You'd think they put that on there unless they didn't get the rights to the name.
Well, they didn't have to pay the license.
Yeah, that's a thing. Well, here's one that I this one actually, to be honest, I think $100 is a little bit much, but 50 or 60 I could see, maybe even 70. This one is the one, an 81 Camaro Z28. Now the Turbo Z for $200. I'm sorry, is this some kind of rare kit? Because I don't remember this being a big deal. And
Let's
you'll see it in a
I'm
second.
just waiting for it to
I
come
know
up.
we're still
Yeah.
running, like I said, running about a 20-second lag here. It should be popping up any moment.
There it is.
No, that's not a rare kit at all. That's a standard Camaro kit with some different decals. That's it.
So that's a $30 kit.
Yeah, that's not. There's nothing special about this kit.
And I
It's got
almost
unless you want
guarantee you those decals aren't
Unless
any
you
good
want the
anymore.
decals.
Yeah, but they're not any
What's
good.
that?
Ken, those decals aren't any good anymore.
No, they probably fall apart when you put them in water.
You're going to have to just lacquer the living crap out of them. You know, put about 3 coats of clear lacquer on them, and cut them into smaller parts. Don't try to put it all on one big piece.
Robert has John Travolta's. Oh, it says get John Travolta's granddad.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, somebody's been smoking a left-handed cigarette, the little wacky tobacco.
Yes, William, the 57 Revell Chevy Nomad will be coming out from Atlantis probably late in the first quarter, early second quarter.
Good to know.
Dick Landy super stock version included for the 1969 Charger RT, $260 for an MPC kit, and I'm not really. I mean, again,
especially since Revell made a better '68 version of this car.
Mm.
You know, you're paying this for this, or they're asking because this kit's from '69.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and like you said, all of that red and those blue stripes, those are decals. It's in '69. Good luck with that.
Yeah, you guys might be better off to mask it and match the paint. Handwrite the Dick Landy on the side. Now, here's one that I was a little surprised at.
And it's an open box kit.
Oh God, yeah, I wouldn't touch that. The Revell Peterbilt has been popped in several different companies and several different versions, but apparently the Peterbilt Wrecker is one of the rare ones. I only found a couple of them for sale, and they were all this is the highest priced one at $500. The cheapest one I think was north of $300, and I'm kind of like, okay, maybe this is a rare kit, but my understanding is that these Revell semis are actually very hard to build.
Yeah, they are.
I remember.
I mean, they're very well detailed.
Huh?
They really are.
Yeah.
They go together well, but they're pretty tricky.
Yeah, and one thing I remember about them was, because we built, I think it was the Peterbilt, or the Kenworth, and I remember was there are a lot of very small attachment points for really large parts, because that's the way the truck is made. And and as I recall, I think the trickiest part was the forward opening hood. It had 2 tiny little anchor points on front, which is the way the truck works, but when you closed it, it was really, it was really hard to get it to seat in the right place. And if you tried, and of course you could glue it down, but then you can't look at the work you did on the engine. And I remember that's the only semi we built. I've got a different truck over here, and I'm like, man, part of me wants to build it, but part of me still has the PTSD, the post-traumatic semi disorder from when I was, 13 years old, and we tried to build one. I was like, I'll never build one of these again. And and I know there's some guys out there, because we've gotten them, that have built these semis, and they've done some beautiful work. But that Wrecker is a cool looking vehicle, with the I don't know, that's 12-wheel rear end or 6-wheel rear end, but I don't think it articulates. But
I built a couple of these, not this, this one and some different ones for a client, and they're pretty tricky. They look great when they're done. But it's got a real slow build to it. You got to be real careful. I mean, trying to get the frame to sit straight when you put the wheels on it,
yes,
and get the body on is a trick.
Yeah, and which is funny you should say that, because I was just thinking that Tamiya Mustang I'm working on, that GT4, it went to go. It's so far it's gone to go without any argument. I didn't get a chance to work on it today, but all 4 wheels sit flat on the ground, which was such a stress reliever. I can't tell you how many model cars I built that sit on 3 wheels.
Meanwhile, the worst thing to do are the trailers.
I built one trailer, which I did for the Canadian build when I did the Elsinore beer truck. And
trying to get all the walls to line up and stay together without falling apart.
I was shocked at how hard that was to do. And I was covering it up to make it look like it was lost in the woods, if you guys remember that build. Because I built the, I did the diorama with the Otter Lodge, or the Possum Lodge van backing up to it, stealing all the beer. you know, where the McKenzie brothers had dumped the trailer at the end of the movie. And everybody caught it. God bless, everybody caught the joke. Because I was like, God, I don't want to do, because I put a lot of work into that. And it was a big diorama, which I tore down when I was done because it was just too big to put anywhere. I still have the Elsinore van. But I was like, dear God, please don't let me, you know, go all this work and nobody get the joke. And God bless, everybody got the joke. But which I think would make a great little gag film for, like, you know, Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas and the Steve Smith, you know, from them to make a little 5-minute gag movie, the McKenzie brothers. You know, it's like, you know, at the end of the movie, driving on the truck, and it goes 20 years later. You see the truck sitting in the woods, and you see the possum van back up to it, and they start loading beer. And like, that explains a lot, doesn't it, about the Red Green Show? But anyway, that's just a crossover that begs to be done. But anyway, well, there's
what it comes down to is, what are the kits that are your holy grail, and to you, what are they worth?
Well, that's true.
You know, like you said, okay, $635, I still think, no matter what the situation is way out of line for that 70 GTO.
I completely agree.
Let's say you had a 70 GTO, it was your first new car, you got it when you came back from wherever, and
you come back from Vietnam, you know,
you had money,
you know,
and you want to have it, but you know, that's $100, $150 tops. Mm-hmm. But not a $635 kit.
Not when you can get when the Johan promos are out there for $50 all day long.
Right, and you can paint them to look exactly like your car.
You know,
I think the difference is you're not going to have a motor.
I wasn't really even that interested in doing the Reggie car because it's just what it is. But for just real quick reminder, everybody, for those who don't know, in the movie Slapshot, Paul Newman's character Reggie drove a 1970 GTO. It was gold with a black top and I think a khaki interior. All right, and unfortunately, much to everyone's surprise, they actually damaged the car, the quarter panel, and the frickin' movie company didn't fix it. They gave it back to the owner damaged, which I was like, that's some BS. Anyway, and given that Newman was a car guy, I doubt he knew about that. But anyway,
he damaged it.
Yeah, but I doubt he knew that they didn't pay the guy.
Oh, yeah, probably not. Yeah.
I imagine Paul would have paid him out of pocket. I mean, he was a car lover.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah.
But anyway, anyway, when I watched that video on it, they mentioned that, you know, you can get these cars for $30 and they showed a 72 and they go, you can modify them. I was like, what do you mean modify them? No one made the 1970. I looked it up. Dude, you're telling people to buy, you know, the 72 for $30 and modify it. Here's the 1970 right here. And then I saw the price. Like, what the heck? And that's what sent me down this rabbit hole on this thing. So then I saw the promos from Johan. I was like, so for $50, I can get a Johan promo already built, take a screwdriver, take it apart, repaint it, put it back together, and I got Reggie's car for $75 total. You know, really? But I get what you're saying. You know, somebody built it when they, you know, hey, I came back from the NUM, you know, I bought a 70 GTO, I bought the model, I made my car, but I lost it years ago. I want another one. Yeah, for that level of nostalgia, I can understand, but still, like you say, 150 tops. Well, that's my read on it anyway.
You know, it's all, you know, everybody's got a limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there's some kits you see and you want them and you're like, I'm not paying that for that.
Yep. I've seen that many times.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of kits that I really wanted, and I looked at the price like, no, I don't want it that much. And I've seen that not just for kit models, but a whole bunch of stuff.
I mean, you know, I'm currently bidding on a car on eBay right now, which is one of my Holy Grail cars. And to buy it now is a reasonable amount, but I just wanted to bid and see what, you know, how it would go, and then
If you want to, if you can save a few bucks, save a few bucks. You know, it's a know.
You know, because I'd pay the buy it now price, but you know, if I could get it for less,
well, sure, that's just business 101. I've seen a few things that I really wanted, and I saw the buy it now price. Screw it, I'm just going to pay it and get it, and make sure no one else does.
Yeah.
The other one, now, I drove a Datsun pickup truck in high school, brand new. My dad bought, and I tore it up and damaged it because I was an idiot teenager. But I saw this, Datsun 510, and I'm like, nothing against the car. Not sure why it's $150.
Neither am I. Meanwhile, the one that's the one that Bob Sharp drove in SCCA, which was the red, white, and blue one, that kit's not even $149, and that's the kit everybody wants.
Yeah.
Now you could take this kit and paint it that way and get a set of aftermarket decals, but why would you do that when you could get the other kit for less for the same money, and it's got everything there?
Yeah.
I mean, this just doesn't make any sense for the standard car to go for this much money.
Maybe it's just a rare kit, or maybe that's just what the person's trying to get for it. But but it's it's about it's Cave Emptor, buyer beware.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, my name on the chat is Debbie Mix. That's my wife's computer.
I just wondering what that was.
I don't think. Yeah, Ricky said, "Sure, Ken."
Ken, we don't judge here. You can be your best you.
Really, it's my wife's computer. She brought it up here just so that I could do this.
Like we are going to pass up an opportunity for free torment.
Of course not. I wouldn't expect anything.
Are we not men? It's too bright. I realize the more I dim the lights, the better I look.
What? What was that again?
Said the more I dim the lights, the better I look.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No, I did not transition. Everything is.
I don't know, Ken. You went from one computer to another.
God.
We are Devo.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
God. And now the children come out to play. So anyway,
of course. Hey, it's that time of the.
It's that
show.
time.
The live stream. Yes.
Now.
That was the show. The show. Okay.
Hey, I remember, as Ken can tell you, my motto is: if you can't abuse your friends, what's the point in letting them breathe?
Why have them then?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you need friends for if you can't do that? If you can't abuse them?
Garfield, the more Max dims the lights, the better we all look.
No, it's the better for all of us.
Max had to modify it, but I was going to let him have it.
Remember,
Ken, you can't let him slide like that. Come on.
Remember, guys, on this channel, we do not judge, we mock. So
besides, he has control of the microphone.
I have the mighty mute button.
That's right. With a single push of a button, he can make us all go away.
Okay, what movie is this from? Okay, Ken, you'll appreciate this. What movie is this from? I'm a god when I'm at sea.
Oh, that was that Goldie Hawn and
Kurt Russell.
Oh, Kurt Russell.
Overboard.
Overboard. There you go.
Overboard. Yes.
And I guess it's time for us to play a round of Name That Movie.
There we go.
It's on the heavy metal soundtrack.
Yeah. Cute.
You would be classified as an Amazon woman if you transition, Ken.
Hey, can we switch the subject here? I do not want to talk about that anymore.
Hey, no worries, Debbie. You got it.
Of Buc-ee's?
Yeah, that's an idea. The Gulf of Buc-ee's. Why not?
The Gulf of Buc-ee's? Gulf America. Okay. What? Okay. Here's another one line. Identify this movie. I got my ass kicked in Wisconsin. I thought she'd get that one easy. Let's see what the Glue Troopers have to say on Freaky Friday. Name that tune night. And what? I have to remember I've got the camera turned on before I go sticking my finger in my ear.
Garfield says we can all make
Fran
go away by clicking the X.
Fran beat Kula Killa out by a millisecond. Stripes. Hey, come on, it's Czechoslovakia. It's like going in and out of Wisconsin. Hey, John, I got my ass kicked in Wisconsin.
Just to tell you how fascinated Max is with this kind of stuff, one time him and I took a trip to Ocean City from Maryland. I went out to visit my wife where she was having a vacation. I had to work. Anyway, on the way out there, Max's idea to amuse ourselves is, hey, let's sing the theme song from a TV show and see if we can guess what it is.
Which ones did I pick?
Yeah, that was an interesting trip.
Yeah, it's kind of when you wish your eardrums were burst, wasn't it?
It's Sergeant Hulka's Our Big Toe.
Do you remember that trip, Max?
Faintly, yeah. I don't remember which theme songs, but it's about time, it's about space.
Remember Flipper?
They called him Flipper, faster than lightning.
Ow, that hurt.
No one you see is smarter than he. Doesn't help that somebody gave me a couple of CDs of those old songs on it. Karaoke, yeah. Okay, let's pick up another obscure one-liner. Okay, here we go. Ready for the next one?
Go ahead. We're going to keep doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Why are you punishing us? What did we do wrong?
Because I can. The same reason Hitler went into Poland. I said minors, not minors.
Oh, come on. He has an unfair advantage. He was an airline pilot on reserve. What
All you did was watch me. I'll guarantee you somebody knows. You're going to see an answer pop up here in the next 20 seconds.
I have no doubt.
F Troop. The end of the Civil War was near and quite accidentally. F Troop.
He would know that one.
We the Fagawi.
we the Hakawi. We like everybody. Max has too much Romulan ale tonight. Galaxy Quest. JM for the win.
Max had too much Romulan ale tonight.
The Epstein story.
Oh. Your name's going on a list for that one.
Kevin says, you guys are S-faced. Oh, you haven't even seen that yet.
No. We are nowhere near that part. Regrettably, I don't even have a buzz going despite the cough medicine. Okay. Let's see. It's too easy to throw out ones like, this was not a boating accident. Everybody knows those. You have to do something that's a bit more obscure, but not too far in the weeds. But it's got to be kind of he's talking about you killing me, Smalls. I mean, everybody knows that line.
Dreamberry says, deep inside the forest, there's a door into another world. Here is our life and home.
I should do a Twilight Zone beginning for this, for the channel.
Best cartoon theme music of all time was Johnny Quest.
Branded. Branded. Struck with a coward sword. What do you do with a branded? But you're the Bitter Creek.
Guys, stop encouraging him.
So only one man lived on Bitter Creek.
Yes.
We actually had, when I was a kid, you know how kids do parodies of all the songs? We had a parody of Branded that I can still sing today. Would you like me to? And that's a rhetorical question because I'm going to. Stranded, stuck on the toilet bowl. What do you do when you're stranded and you don't have a roll? Well, to prove you're a man, you can wipe it with your hand when you're stranded. And I'm waiting for the numbers to start clicking off here.
Now, God, there are no executives from Max's company watch this show.
Yeah, stranded. Hey, some of them knew it. Okay.
And you would be stranded then if they did.
I can't tell you how many years it's been since I've heard that song.
Let me tell a story about a man named Jed. Poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. Man, we can all sing that. That and Gilligan's Island.
A la Bill Murray.
Nah. You know, there was an episode of CSI which kind of said that Bobcat Goldthwait, the comedian, on as their guest star. And he was playing their guest villain. And he was being a comedian that had bumped off some other comedian or something. Anyway, and he gets on stage. He knows the cops are coming to get him. So he sings like the first part of Gilligan's Island. Everybody sings the whole thing. Goes, every one of you knows the entire theme song to Gilligan's Island. He goes, how many of you can sing the second stanza of the national anthem? And none of them, you know? And I'm like, yeah, they didn't play the national anthem for us every day at 4:30 p.m. in reruns, you know? Grizzly Adams.
Nobody ever sings the second stanza at the football games anyway.
Yeah, you know, and people don't. And define irony. Okay, our national anthem is a poem written by Francis Scott Key, put to the tune of a British drinking song.
And was written in 1912.
Yeah, we tend to forget that. Yes, Marianne, Robert, I completely agree. The three questions.
1912.
There are three. No, 1912.
Oh.
Our national anthem is not about our revolution. It was written as a poem during the War of 1812, and then about 110 years later put to music. And it was an old British drinking song that was selected. Most Americans are. Yeah. All the way Glenn Miller played songs that made the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
Max, you're gonna break your phone.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
To slightly
sleep all night and work all day.
But the stanza that says girls were girls and men were men wouldn't play well today.
I don't even get me started.
Okay, hey Max, you know that doll you called me about earlier today?
Mm-hmm.
The Ken doll.
Mm-hmm.
Ken with the boat.
Ken with the boat.
I had an interesting thought because you said your wife wanted to use it for something.
She's got it on the lab, right? It's on the slab in the lab right now, getting ready to go to the $6 million man treatment.
Wow, I thought about the perfect costume for that doll.
Oh dear God, what?
Here we go.
Careful, Ken. This is being recorded for posterity.
Gilligan's Island. Gilligan.
It's funny you should say that, Ken, because I was thinking if you and I are on the sailboat, everybody'd think you're Gilligan and I'm the skipper. Johnny Yuma was a rebel.
You do kind of resemble him a little bit.
Yes. Well, his name was. Well, okay, hold on. What was the skipper's name?
Oh, I knew this.
It was only in the first episode. It was said once.
I know somebody's going to answer this. It's the only reason I'm holding back. But he did have a name, and so did the professor, by the way, and so did Gilligan. And actually, all of them had full names. Hey, little
Something weird. It wasn't simple. It's a very unusual name.
I'll give it a few seconds for folk because I know the Jonas Grumby, Tom Fox for the win. Keenan came in right behind
There you go.
I know a lot of you guys are answering as soon as you hear it, but everybody gets this at a slightly different time depending on their internet connection. Yep. Barnabas Grumbling, close. Jonas Grumby. And the professor, I believe, was Roy Hinckley.
I'm Mr. Howell.
The professor was Roy Hinckley, and Gilligan, I forgot, but he had a name also.
That's right, I'll be the professor.
Yep, there you go. Garfield got it. Roy Hinckley. Willie Gilligan, that was
Willie.
it, yes. Keenan got
So
it.
they only called him by his last name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh, okay, that's a bit weird.
Okay, whose shirt was Gilligan wearing? They only mentioned this in one episode in passing. It was just a gag. The whole time, whose shirt is Gilligan wearing?
Gingers?
Security officers?
It's not one of the castaways.
Well,
I'm not sure what I think Lovey
no.
actually was her real name. He was wearing his brother's shirt. They had one episode where they found a camera or something. He's like, Gilligan doesn't want to be in the picture. Why? I'm wearing my brother's shirt. He'll be mad. His brother. There you go. Robert got it. Robert Rodriguez. Of course, a lot of these are just little gags. No one ever thought 50 years later people would be playing this in trivia games. Marianne
Please,
Summers.
guys, come on. Sluggo. Come on. Give these guys a bone and they just never let it go.
First off, who on earth thinks you could ever be Ginger? I mean, that's just wrong.
Oh, God.
I mean, if anybody's going to be Ginger, it's going to be me, okay? So, just saying.
gonna be who?
Me. I got curves. They just go the wrong way.
Oh, I don't think so.
They just reapportion some of this fat in the right place. Yeah, anyway. Okay, that one a little dark side.
Is that like when they stopped her Ozempic? You're gonna be Ginger.
God.
Gilligan shows up as the angry bartender in Back to the Beach,
To the
movie
Beach.
about Frankie and Annette in the 80s.
Yep.
Okay, a lot of you guys will know this. What fairly popular character did Bob Denver play before he was Gilligan?
Say that again.
What character, very well-known character, did Bob Denver play before he played Gilligan?
Maynard G. Krebs.
Maynard G. Krebs on the Many Lives of Dobie Gillis. Of course, mind you, at my age, I only saw that stuff in reruns. I used to say, I mean, you got to remember, I came in at a kind of an odd time. The first James Bond movie I ever saw at the theater was The Man with the Golden Gun. So I thought Roger Moore was James Bond. I only come out to learn later that Roger Moore was considered like the worst James Bond ever. And everybody go, well, Sean Connery, who the heck is Sean Connery? It was years later before I saw a Sean Connery James Bond movie on TV because they wouldn't show him on TV.
Brand says this live stream is now cementing your claim as having the lowest production value on YouTube.
Thank you. I like to think so, Hey, it took me all of 5 minutes to set this up, okay?
William says you have the YouTube police circling. Ken would say, Debbie, come on, guys! Give it a rest.
Hey, Ken, you gave the dog the bone.
Ken needs to watch his Exit Only 6 if he's in the same bar as Slug.
Hey, you
Next
give children a
pride
toy,
child.
what do you expect? Hey, you're the one that gave the kids the toy. You gave the dog a toy. Don't complain when it chews on it.
Yeah, right. Oh, we got a rotating,
Wait for it to go right on the floor.
got a rotating ship now, huh?
Yeah, look at the bright side. We're still on the air. As long as no one fondles any boomsticks, And
Probably not for long.
well, remember, if they can kill us, but they can't eat us. That's against the law. Okay, well, guys, we're coming up. We got about 6 minutes left. Anybody got anything before we go? By the way,
No, nobody's got anything else to say. We're gonna right.
Ken has ruled. I'm sorry.
Do not give them a chance.
Don't argue with
They're
Debbie,
being
boys.
Weird tonight.
No one argue with Debbie. So,
Would you guys like to know what's in the 2025 Atlantis line?
ooh, tell us more.
Oh yes, please.
Tell me more. Like, do they have a car? Uh-huh.
The Viking ship.
Mike, going to the dark place.
That sounds like a big seller.
Actually, it wasn't a bad kit when it first came out. It's the old Aurora kit. They're going to have a Keeler's Custom hot rod pickup. Wait a minute, I can read the list. I have it inside.
Please do.
You can
Quickly.
Change
Don't
the
get any
list.
downtime.
Yeah, I know. He jumps in. It's kind of like horrible. But anyway, here we
Jesus,
go.
Nathan.
We will have.
Send me the pictures.
Could it kill us? No. I'm not even going to say that.
We will have the Viking ship with oarsmen and crew, Keeler's Customs competition T Roadster pickup, WW2 Sherman tank, Lockheed C-41 Starlifter, Lockheed Cheyenne helicopter.
Wait. You mean C-141?
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to get one of those. That was what my brother was a navigator on
Isn't
in
that
the
what
Air
I
Force.
said?
You said C-41, I think, but I have to get one of those.
Let's see. Cheyenne helicopter.
Oh, they're going to keep making that. All right, I heard they were going to have to stop.
56 Cadillac Eldorado, 56 Buick Century customizing kit, 57 Chevy Nomad 125th,
I might get that.
55 Chevy 125th, the Lockheed Neptune, the U.S. Navy Bendix Talos anti-missile system, the USAF X-17 research rocket,
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. Army tactical missile set,
I can get one of those.
the F-94C Starfire, the H-16 Kawasaki helicopter,
Mm-hmm.
Wait a
The
minute.
Lockheed-
F-94?
Yeah, Starfire.
yeah, the Starfire.
First Air Force jet with an afterburner.
Okay, I don't remember a 94, but okay, go ahead.
It was basically a
I said-
T-33 with an afterburner and a bunch of rockets and a radar.
Oh, Mike wants to know, is that C-141 an A or a B?
I think it's an A model.
C.
No,
C?
it's the C-41, C-141A or C-141B. The A models were
no,
shorter. The
no,
B
no.
models had an extension.
Doesn't have that.
I think it's an A
And then
model.
Kawasaki helicopter, a Lockheed Warning Star, the Convair Pogo vertical takeoff aircraft, the Saab Draken J-35,
Mm-hmm.
the Mack Bulldog dump truck,
Mm-hmm.
the Don Perdome Pepsi Challenger Trans Am funny car,
Mm-hmm.
the Tom Daniel Groovy. What?
I was going to say, what year of the Trans Am funny car?
It's a funny-
like a 80s one.
Oh, okay.
Tom Daniel Groovy Grader
Mm-hmm.
and Historic Firearms Frontiersman Kentucky Long Rifle.
Is that a miniature or a 1-to-1 scale?
It's 1-to-1. The thing's pretty big.
Jeez, that's going to be a 4-foot long model.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, that make
that
it
will-
beautiful. I make a beautiful wall hanger. Get two of them, cross them because I was in the infantry, and the infantry logo is
Yeah.
cross Kentucky Rifles. That would make a cool wall hanging.
So that will be starting in February and running through into August, and then there'll be other releases for the second half of the year.
Cool.
Huh?
Well,
A
it
lot of
is.
people have said the old Aurora C-141 is an A kit.
Yeah, it's an A model.
Mm.
It's a short one. My what? Just hold on. Just to give you guys the 2-cent history, the C-141, which is a great airplane, had a long service life with the Air Force, but in the late 70s, early 80s, they went through an extension program. They literally cut them in front and behind the wing box and put plugs fore and aft and added an aerial refueling probe or receptacle on top just behind the cockpit. And that was the B model. All of them went through the conversion. So there are, unless there's one in a museum or something that NASA got their hands on, they're all C-141Bs now. And it greatly enhanced the capability of the airplane. But all the 141s except the one or two that NASA has have been retired, and they literally were. I mean, they were they needed to be retired. They've been replaced by the C-17. And I believe it was the Mississippi Air National Guard was the last unit to operate them. And I was flying into, I want to say it was Jackson, and they always had them lined up on the ramp as we come in on final approach. And I kept seeing less and less of them on the ramp and more C-17s. And finally one day I flew in all C-17s. There was one 141 left on the ramp. And when I got in the terminal, I asked one of the locals about it. And they said that actually is the last C-141B in the Air Force inventory, but it's only being saved to go to a museum. The Hanoi taxi, the one that brought the troops, the POWs back from Vietnam, is in the Air Force Museum, and you can walk through it. So, little C-141 history there. Great airplane, great service to the Air Force, but it just aged out. So, but there are no
36 says there are two that are still A's.
Okay. And I assume they're either in museums or flying for NASA or some kind of specialty thing. But none of them are in Air Force inventory anymore. So,
Didn't Epstein have one?
And you can imagine.
What?
What?
Didn't Epstein have one to bring the large voluminous?
Stop! Before we get canceled. Anyway, besides, I think he used the Gulfstream. Anywho, that is what we have for tonight, boys and girls. So before Steve gets us all thrown in jail,
I'm gonna partner up with Ian.
Oh God, I'll let you say goodnight, boys and girls. As I'll just go ahead and turn myself into YouTube jail. Steve, Ken.
That's right. That's why you have to be nice to us, because we could turn you into YouTube jail.
Only if I beat you to, not if I beat you to it.
Good night, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We hope we made your 2 hours this evening enjoyable, and we look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks, guys. It's always good that we can all get together and have these little sessions, whatever you want to call them. Although there are a few subjects we need to stay away from. Thank you all for showing up tonight. And as always, have fun.
Guys, take care of yourselves. And as always, model on.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was a Billy of Tea. The winds blew up her bow, up down, oh below my bully boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's sail came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harping and fought her when she dived down low. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed. The captain's mind was not of greed, and he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. For 40 days or even more, the lane went slack, then tight once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on. The line's not cut and the whale's not gone. The wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew and all. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
Little GTO, you really looking fine. 3 deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Listen to her tacking up now. Listen to her whine. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. You ought to see her on a road course or a quarter mile. This little modified ponton has got plenty of style. She beats the gassers and the rail jobs, really drives them wild. Come on and turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO. Gonna save all my money and buy a GTO. Get a helmet and a roll bar, and I'll be ready to go. Take it out to Pomona and let 'em know, that I'm the coolest thing around. Little buddy gonna shut you down. When I turn it on, wind it up, blow it out, GTO.
never seen you smile. Try, try, try to let it ride. Baby, you want the forgiving kind, and that's just not my style. Try, try, try to let it ride. And would you cry if I told you that I lied? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? And would you cry if I told you that I lied? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? I've been doing things worthwhile, you've been booking time. Try, try, try to let it ride. And would you cry if I told you that I lied? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? And would you cry if I told you that I lied? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? Or would you let it ride? Would you let it ride? Would you let it ride? Yeah! Would you let it ride?
I should have known you'd bid me farewell. There's a lesson to be learned from this, and I learned it very well. Now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. If I never hear your name again, it's all the same to me. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. You never cared for secrets I'd confide. To you I'm just an ornament, something for your pride. Always running, never caring, that's the life you live. Stolen minutes of your time were all you had to give. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. The stories in the past with nothing to recall. I've got my life to live, and I don't need you at all. The roller coaster ride we took is nearly at an end. I've bought my ticket with my tears, that's all I'm gonna spend. And I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, I think it's gonna be alright. Yeah, the worst is over now. The morning sun is shining like a red rubber ball. Oh, it's bouncing and it's shining like a red rubber ball.